couldn't get that one over the line. That's a fact, obviously, because he went to Juve. His agent and he played a very clever game.
Played a blinder.
Yeah. And then I think they were interested in Isaac. Is it Isaac or Isaac?
Yeah, Isaac, yeah.
Isaac, yeah. They were interested in Isaac. But I don't think he's worth, well, they decided he wasn't worth the £75 million release clause. So they bid what they thought he was worth. I think I agree with a lot of what I've heard and what I've seen of him. I do think he's a good player, but I don't think he's worth £75 million. So
yeah, at this moment in time, I agree.
Yeah, not at this moment in time. His record of goal scoring this season, something like 4 goals in the season, isn't great. So I know he's got a good relationship with Odegaard when they worked together at Sociedad, and he's a good footballer, but I don't think he's worth that sort of money. So they made that bid what they thought he was worth. That was rejected. So they couldn't get their primary target. So they decided not to. There was no one out there good enough, really, who they could.
Where
bring
you at
in.
with that? Sorry to cut you. Where are you at with that? Because I feel that statement, I'm on two hands. On one hand, I agree. There's no point buying for the sake of it. And then as you've seen, Arsenal have to do a lot. But at the same time, I feel there needs to be a plan and then a plan for the plan. We know we're Arsenal Football Club at this moment. If we can't get top targets, we're just an option. So surely there should be plan Bs, plan Cs and whatnot. Ultimately, we've ended the window without anything. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think the plan was to get Vlahovic, then go for Isaac. I think then they decided, well, we can't get better than what we've got. But I think what they should have done really is I think they should have looked around and got a loan deal in to tie us over to the summer because we are incredibly short. If Lacazette was to pull a hamstring,
God forbid,
I mean, we're literally. It's okay saying with this 11 we've got, the players we've shipped out are all players that weren't part of the project anyway. We wanted to get them, a lot of them dead. Well, we got them off the books. Chambers was obviously the one that came as a bit of a surprise. I think the one that they might regret is Maitland-Niles because I think that it's all well having promises to footballers, but at the end of the day, you've got to look after your club.
Look after yourself, vested interest. Your interest is to get Arsenal where it needs to be. You can't really care about what Ainsley wants.
Yeah, definitely. So, look, I wouldn't say they've been complacent. I just think that they haven't been able to get the deals they wanted. They obviously had some plan B. I've no idea what they had lined up midfield-wise. I could go by you hear different stories on social media every day. So
it looked like after Melo was done, and then it looked like it was, and then the board said no.
It does look like they were pursuing. There was interest in Arthur Melo, but basically they couldn't get the deal done because they didn't want an 18-month deal, did they? They wanted a short-term deal. So because they couldn't get what they wanted, they left it. And it's all right as long as you're looking at your first 11 thinking, yeah, they're the 11 players who've got us into the top 4. And if they all stay fit, that gives us a chance. But I think that you're putting a lot of pressure on young players like Saka and Smith Rowe.
Not really fair for me.
And Martinelli. And there's very little scope and there's very little to bring in. So I don't think they were complacent about getting top 4. I think they've always seen this as a long-term project. I think they're ahead of where they were. But I think this could go down, Dalude, is a real missed opportunity because a bit like in 2015-16 where we didn't buy an outfield player. We didn't buy an outfield player and that cost us the league that year. I think had Wenger gone out and bought an outfield player and he only bought Petr Cech, goalkeeper, we probably would have won the league because Man United, a bit like now, Man United, that they're in at that time they were struggling post Ferguson. Chelsea weren't doing well at the time. Liverpool weren't where they were now. Even Man City were having a poor season, and
to take advantage.
Yeah, so we had a great chance here to win the league, and we didn't take it because we didn't get the right signings in. And then a bit like this season, we've got a fantastic chance of getting top 4. We're only playing one game a week.
One game, I think, in February. I could be wrong. We ain't got many games now.
No, many of our rivals are playing more than that. So this was the chance, wasn't it? And we haven't been able to get the business done. And so in effect, we're leaving ourselves in a position where I think that really I can't see us getting top 4. I think because I think Man United are coming again. I think I expect them to get top 4. Same. Tottenham have got Conte in place who's improving them, and they have added 2 players in the window. I think realistically, we'll finish in the top 6. Now that if we drop below that, there's going to be so much pressure on Arteta, no matter what the club think, because from going from top 4 and not even finishing in the top 6 is going to be a massive blow to the fans and to the club. So look, the one thing I will say is we've always slagged Arsenal off in the past for going out and buying the wrong players. So they're saying this time we're making sure we're getting the right players. So it'd be a bit churlish to absolutely criticise them entirely, to say if you can't get the right players, go out and buy players just for players' sake. But the other thing you've got to remember, Jadudi, just one final point here. If we don't get top 6 at least and get in the Europa, top 4 obviously is what we want. But if we don't get back into Europe, when you go in the summer, I don't care what Arteta says. When Arsenal come knocking, it's a different question, he says. But
naive, very naive.
You won't get your targets if you're not in Europe. Most players at least want to play in Europe, if not the Champions League. So if you can't even offer European football, and you've waited around and not done any business, then fallen away in the second half of the season, not achieve European football, you're going to find it really hard to get the targets in the summer.
And that's where I'm at, in the sense of, clearly, the goal was we'd like top 4. We realistically is top 6, but I just feel you have a chance of, provided it's done properly, accelerating the progress. And there's no process better yet, and there's no guarantee that other teams are not going to get stronger. And we know we're at that point where we've moved away from being a traditional top 4 team. Now we're in and amongst the pack, and I think that could have given us a platform, like you said rightly. So half the time we're linked with players, they say Champions League, even if they, as much as it kills me to say, don't think that highly of Arsenal, at least they could think, I could come here for a few years. There's Champions League. I've got a platform. You're hearing probably a bit of agent talk, but you're hearing Saka already. City and Liverpool are looking at him. They've got Champions League. I'm sure when he goes off to England duty, they speak about it. And I just think it would be a missed chance. I mean, if you get top 6, people would probably accept that, but there's an opportunity, and this is where I struggle to really see ambition. And I don't know where you look at it. Maybe I was naive, considering we spent 150 million. We did try to get Vlahovic, so I assume there must have been money available. But somehow I think when I hear Arteta's going to America, they're not doing the Arthur Melo deal. Was there even finances? Was it probably naive to expect, on top of spending 150 million, that even though we only wanted to address 2 areas, that something was going to happen?
Well, I think they must have had the money, or had a way to find the money if they were going to get Vlahovic and pay that money. They must have had it, because they even got to the stage where they were talking to his agent, so they were serious. So they must have had the money. I think the money's there. I think they've done it really by getting players' wages off the books. I mean, I think the plan was always probably to get Aubameyang off the books. That's £29 million in wages they've saved for the rest of the season. Although I think in the structure of the deal, I think we're still paying some of it. We're still paying some of it
up front as well to him.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of money off the books in wages. So there must have been money there. I mean, there's a joke going around. My mate was saying that Arteta was out there meeting the Cronkies to negotiate his contract. But
probably was. He probably was, man. That's probably as high up on the Arsenal's list as Bukayo Saka's new deal.
Yeah, and the Cronkies, Cronkies seem more interested in their American franchises than they do in Arsenal, don't they? That you can, So, but for all that, I think the money was there. I think if they could have got their targets, Vlahovic was one, and possibly if they could have done the deal with Arthur Melo, that would have been another one that they would have done had they got the opportunity. I think it's always difficult to do deals in January. I think you have to say that, because although it is, whatever you think, and I know some clubs have done good business. Newcastle have done really well. Aston Villa have done well.
Superb.
Yeah. So some clubs have done good business, and we've done good business in the past in January. It was for all that a very poor January window for Arsenal, and coming on the back of a poor month footballing wise. Obviously, it made it even worse, didn't it? Because
the optimism,
and it sort of kills you inside, because you just want. I mean, like all fans, you just want your club to sign players, don't you? And they haven't been able to do that. But as I said, I mean, it's no point signing the wrong player. I do think on the forward line, though, we've left ourselves really light, and I think. To pin your hopes on 2 players in the last year of their contract, the last few months of their contract, albeit Lack has been really professional this year and has been brilliant in his off the work ball and his hold up play and all that, where he's not scoring as much as we'd like. To pin your hopes on 2 players like Lacazette and Nketiah who are struggling to score goals, I think is a massive risk. I think they should have tried to get someone in on loan at least up front. I think the 2 areas were left light, possibly we haven't addressed the centre mid issue, but